How's it going, people? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to the Forever Arsenal podcast. Straight from Big Six over to here, Forever Arsenal. You can see the lovely gentleman with me laughing already because back room, the banter starts as soon as we come in, people. It's a shame you can't see it from the get go, but it's probably better you didn't see this one from the get go.
It's not banter, mate. It's PTSD I've got now, but we'll keep that between the four of us. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, it might come back.
Lee said some wild things. Let's just put it that way. And it turns out he's into stats. So after all the grief he actually doesn't mind.
That man Lee, is that what it is? Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm glad we can start with laughs and smiling again, though, because I got used to it throughout this season, and obviously the last couple have been off the back of a loss and a draw, which to us this season has been a dip in form. But we did to Forest what I really wanted us to do, and that's put them to the sword and get the job done in emphatic fashion. Result, performance, all in. We got the job done. And we move on to the last Europa League game and obviously Chelsea away next week. I think somewhat with the dip in form behind us, hopefully. I know it was Forest bottom of the league, but they're just coming off the back of a win against Liverpool, so their heads were high. But we are going to talk about it as usual. I don't know, should we start with a comment of the week, Lee? I think we should maybe start with it.
Yes, why not? The comment of the week, It's from Roscoe de Sol. What a lovely name that is, by the way, Roscoe de Sol. James prefers to be under Turkish rather than being on top of Lee. You know what I mean? There you go. That's what we like. We like a bit of creativity.
James, do you care to respond or reply to that, James?
I'm Say not the right thing.
Is the allegation true?
No comment.
James, get your stats out.
No. Let's just go.
Get your stats out.
Fluff those pillars up, James. I'm coming around.
Look forward to that, Lee.
Love for the people sending in your comments, man. Like we said last week, man, we love seeing them. So big up you guys for engaging with us, and we'll continue doing the same and picking out comments of the day, at least on every show, one or two of them anyway, to say the least. But let's move into it. Forest at home. Lee, I haven't had a chance to talk to you since the game, so let's head over to you and kick us off.
I'm going to say all I wanted it to be on Sunday. Everything that I wanted it to be, it was. I'm not going to lie, I was a little bit nervous. Everybody sort of going into the ground saying, "Oh, we could draw this game. This could be. I wouldn't be surprised." Blah 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 blah. I thought we was fantastic from the first whistle to the last. I felt that what we needed to do, we done. 1-0 up at half time. I thought we was a little bit. Again, went into the bars at half time, a little bit of nerves around and all that, second half performances have been a little bit, but we come out in the second half and blitzed them. And I think that was a great point, a great thing from everything there. I just thought it was a fantastic performance. The only thing that was missing was a Jesus goal. I thought he was fantastic on the day. I'm going to give out a big app to Arteta because the substitution of Nelson, I think that when winning, that was good. We all played this game. I was just saying it earlier on. I don't care who you're with. You play the game. What's your next? Who's he going to bring on? Who's he not? You all think you're the manager, you know what I mean? Oh, he's going to bring on so. Vieira was mentioned. I thought he would bring on Eddie, but he brought on Nelson, which was a surprise, and he was fantastic when he came on and done a really, really good job. Big up to the manager for that. That must mean that something was happening in training. I just thought it was a real performance that now gives me confidence going into Chelsea game. I really do feel that. We was, I wouldn't say on a downer and all that, but I was getting worried that we was going to give jaded. We was going to lose form. We was going to drop more points. Put it all to bed with a fantastic performance. It was fiery. It was fast. Some fantastic football. Fantastic goals. Got to say that. Some real corking goals. The Martinelli goal was great, you know what I mean? Oh, Jermaine Genius trying to flame it on the defeat. What a Tottenham. I can't I mean, like these Tottenham prats get on my nerves. They really do, like, you know what I mean? He should be on Channel 4 with him upstairs, like, you know what I mean? That Genius, I'm telling you. But anyway, that's another story, like, you know. But all in all, fantastic performance. And I'm going to say I've come away, you know, just delighted. It was just a performance that was needed. I think it, you know, yeah, I'm going to say it was needed. I think the fact, do you know what? I don't know if you've come out on the TV. It was probably I don't know what you think about this, James. It weren't the greatest atmosphere at the Emirates it weren't bad. I'm not saying it was bad, but like it was a little bit more subdued than normal because I think there was a little bit of nervousness in the crowd on Sunday.
Yeah, I think so, and I always want to be a bit careful because I don't go every week. I feel lucky enough just to get to go to 6-7 games a season, and I've been in some amazing atmospheres at the Emirates, and the fans have been incredible. I was at the Leicester game at home when Saliba scored the own goal, and they got immediately behind the team and picked them up again and behind Saliba. And the fans have been an absolute credit all season, and the Emirates has been louder than I've ever known it, even in the handful of games I've been to. But I kind of know what you mean. There was this sense of like we went 1-0 up very early, and it was, I don't know whether the fans relaxed with the players. Something just dropped as the whole kind of level of the occasion. I don't know how to explain it. It went very subdued. It went very flat. And I think it was more a case of, we've taken the lead at Leeds, but we weren't great after that. We took the lead at Southampton. Second half wasn't great. Are we going to build on it? And there was that tension. What if we don't get the second? And I think you felt that at half time. I mean, someone chatted to me at half time. They said, "What'd you make of that?" And I was, well, a bit flat. He said, "Yeah, it was shit, wasn't it?" And it was like, okay, so I'm not the only one who's thinking that first half really didn't kick on the way it should after the first goal. And the second half, they addressed it, and the fans were having a great time after that. Saliba chant was out. So, yeah, I think maybe we recognized that it was more about needing the performance, not just the result as well. And they came through.
Yeah, Jordan. Where should we start? Because a fair few points were raised. You know what? Let's Reece Nelson, because Lee's right. I'm in the studio as well watching the game. My first thoughts went to either Eddie comes on, goes up top, and Jesus goes to the right, or maybe Marquinhos comes on straight onto the right, or Vieira comes on and slots in. I never really entertained Nelson coming on, and this is coming from someone who had high hopes for Nelson. It's just that over the years he hasn't really kicked on from what we all thought would be, a long, bright Arsenal career. Reece Nelson, Jordan, what do you make of his appearance and the 2 goals? And
just before I get to Reece Nelson, because I don't want to start on a negative, so I'm going to start on a positive.
Shit.
I just want to start on a positive one. I love the fact that we battered them 5-0, and the reason why I flagged that is because there's been a few games this year where I've been disappointed we've not got the 5. I think 5 signals a battering. 4-0 is a convincing win. It's not a battering. But when I see 5's like we beat that team down. There's been a couple of games this year where I think we should have been more ruthless and got the 5. So to finally get a 5 this season, I was really happy about the fact that we really dominated the team and the scoreline reflected it as well. I thought that was really, really important, not only for for the fans on the day to see that sort of victory, but I'm hoping for the players to see that actually we can be ruthless when indeed we need to be. So that was the first thing. I loved the score line. It wasn't just a convincing win. The score line showed that as well. On Reece Nelson, a bit like you, Turkish, I remember hearing about Reece Nelson about 6 years ago. And of all those young players, I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think he came through in the ranks just after Iwobi. I don't think he was in the Iwobi class, but I think he came just after Iwobi.
Yeah.
But I remember hearing about Reece Nelson and like just hearing from people I knew that followed the youth team games, this kid Reece Nelson is the truth. This guy's gonna be a problem. I was like, okay, cool. And I saw a few youth games and I saw him make a couple of appearances in I think it was a pre-season game maybe 5 years ago. It was under Wenger for sure. I remember, oh yeah, this kid looks tasty. And he's from where I'm not far from where I live. It's part of South London. So I heard things about this kid, Reece Nelson. I was really excited about him. And I was I remember one season I gassed him up to my friends. This season, Reece Nelson, look out for him, look out for him, look out for him. And he never delivered. I was so disappointed because he's quite clearly talented. But I thought of all that crop of youngsters that have come through, I thought he should have been the most successful. I thought he was most talented. Smith Rowe, Saka, who else in that group? There was a defender, I think. I think it was a fullback. There was about 4 or 5 in that group, and I just thought he would be the one that would fly the most, and he just didn't. He just didn't, and I don't quite know why. He went on to Germany. He did okay in Germany, nothing special. So I was really happy to see him, get the 2 goals and make an impact in a game whereby, I think as Lee alluded to, or maybe it was James, when he came on, he wouldn't have been the person that I think a lot of Arsenal fans would have thought is the guy you want to see come on, especially for Saka. But to see him do what he did, I was really, really happy about as well. My slight negative things, I'm the realest one here. I've got to keep it real. No one said it yet. Nottingham Forest were absolutely dog. They were dog. They were awful. They were absolutely terrible, Nottingham Forest. And I think we've got to flag that as well. We won 5-0. We were worthy 5-0 winners. But Nottingham Forest were absolutely awful. So it's not the Nottingham Forest fan channel, so we don't chat about them too much. But I think that we won the game anyway, but I think we were enabled in being so dominant because they were so non-existent. A bit like when Man United beat Spurs last week. Man United were very good, but Spurs, they didn't turn up. They didn't get off the bus. So I think there's 2 sides to that kind of coin. I just think it's important to flag that we were very, very good, but Nottingham Forest were very, very bad. In a way that Liverpool, when we beat them the other day, I thought Liverpool were actually really good, and we still beat them. Whereas Nottingham Forest were absolutely awful. So, but overall,
I agree.
3 points, I'll take it.
Yeah, and I want to add to that. It's not to take away from Arsenal's performance, because I actually think there's credit in the fact that Arsenal came up against that, and sometimes you're playing sport and like a bad opponent, you can drop your level with it, whether
100%.
it's complacency, whether it's Lee, we like our tennis analogies. You ever played with someone who just loops it over the net and you're like, oh my God, you can't hit it back? Like sport can do that, right? In its own way. It can
100%.
lower the tempo and the level, and you get sucked into it. And Arsenal kind of saw weaknesses and exploited them, which I think is what the best do. That's what City do. They go, haha, okay, you look rubbish and we're going to make you feel rubbish. So I think the fact that Arsenal did that in itself is a credit. But I agree with Jordan. They were really bad. And, again, any Forest fan who's watching this for whatever reason, thanks for supporting the show. I'm not trying to be rude or troll or take the piss, but I don't think we'll see a worse side at the Emirates this season. I really think they were horrific. But they beat Liverpool the week before, so they clearly got something. So credit for that. But yeah, they were bad, really bad. And Arsenal punished them, which is what I want to see. So well done.
Yeah, no, Partey banger as well. He's been trying over the last couple of years, but this season we've got a couple out of him, and I think the strike deserves a mention as well. Not only the strike, but I think Partey's coming to his own now. And I know the biggest problem we've had with him has been injuries, but I've also had a big problem with his levels of performance when he is in the side over the, since he's been at the club. I don't think we saw the Thomas Partey that I expected that we was getting from Atletico Madrid. More recently, I'm seeing a Partey that, listen, it's not like for like with the Madrid one. His role was a bit different there as well, in a very different team under a very different manager. But we're seeing a Partey that's confident. He's making it happen in the middle. He's taking necessary risks. Listen, sometimes he does give the ball away, and I'm looking at him like, how did you manage that? How did you manage that? But then more often than not, he's breaking the lines, whether it's, dribbling through or whether it's passing through, he's doing that. He's added a couple goals outside the box as well now, which is something that I've been craving as well, because, having people outside the box that can cause problems opens up space for people in the box, and therefore you can get goals from alternate routes as well. So I'm glad he's added that. Anyone want to mention anything on Partey?
I just want to say he's got presence as well. It's something that we've lacked, I think, since Gilberto Silva, and even maybe Vieira. Gilberto Silva had a lot of qualities to his game. I wouldn't say presence was one of the things. I think when you have Partey on the field, I can only imagine, he's, as an opposition player, he's there. You can't just run through the Arsenal midfield in a way that I think he can for the best part of a decade prior to him arriving. He has that presence about him that he can't just get to my back line very, very easily. So I think that's, for all the kind of technical skills that I think he does possess, he's got presence. I just want to flag Martinelli's got. Sorry, go on, James. I want to mention Partey as well.
On Partey. This is so random. Was Rodri former Atletico Madrid as well? He was, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Did they play together at any point?
Yeah, they did.
Oh, I didn't know that. Shame.
Yeah, they signed him from it. People. There's this kind of discussion, right? Whether Arteta, how much he's trying to do, what Pep's trying to do. And I actually think he's got his own version of it. We can see certain things he's clearly learned from Pep as well. But I don't know, there's some weird parallels, isn't there? The kind of, both of them were sixes that I believe both of them were central midfielders that I believe probably would have played more in a 4-4-2 at Atletico. I think that's what Simeone's mostly played, but people who have watched them more will let me know differently if so. But I don't know. It's just I kind of want to give Arteta credit for recognizing him as a player who maybe wasn't playing that role but had the attributes to, and is now thriving as a holding midfielder. It's one thing seeing, of course, but it's one thing. It's one thing looking across Europe and going, "Oh, that number 6 is really good." It's another going, "That player is really good, but I also think I can mold him into this player." And this season and second half of last season, we started to see why it could be so important in that role. But yeah, interesting with Rodri. I think he might have had a similar thing, but I don't know.
Yeah. Partey, what the problem you've had is that he gets to this level and then gets injured. So it takes him 3 or 4 games to get to this level, and then he gets injured again. And that's why it's important that he stays fit, because I think he's vital to what I see on Sunday. He's vital to us being successful, because he just makes midfield look so easy. He just makes it look so easy. He's always got time on the ball. He turns away from players, and and it goes through him. What it does, it goes through him, and then he's looking to play forward. If you have a look at when Lokonga comes into the team, he hasn't got that yet in his locker where he can get on the half turn and then play forward. Partey does, and he's always looking for that killer ball first, or that forward pass. If it's not on, you turn away and just play it back. And there was a couple of things in that game, and you go back and all that. It goes into him tight, and he just knocks it off. He just pops it off, and then a turn. So what happens is the midfield player who's playing against thinks, "Oh, he's just going to pop it off. He's going to pop it off," and then he turns and he's past you. And he does it so well. He knows when to pass, when to do. Very, very intelligent player. And I think that, the pass for, Xhaka makes the run, and the pass is fantastic for the second goal. Key moment, because once the second goal goes in, we're all in a different place in the stadium, and the players as well, So I thought he was fantastic on the day, and not just him. There was a couple of others, but I thought Partey was a pleasure to watch on Sunday.
So Tomiyasu is my favourite player. Saka, I think, is our best player, but I think Partey is our most important player, and I put him above Saliba and Jesus. I think the most important player in our squad is Thomas Partey, because I think if you've got a midfielder like him, and I think Lee mentioned it earlier on, I think the fitness is the issue, and the fact is that he has the sort of body that he will break down every now and again. I don't think we have to accept that he will miss certain games this season, but I think what he can do, not only on the ball but also off the ball, I think is so integral to our team. Although there's a drop, we discussed in recent weeks about Jesus to Nketiah, Saliba to Holding. I think there's no backup for Thomas Partey. There's no backup for him. I know he at the moment is out injured, but I don't see anybody that can do what he can do. And I think he's the most important player if you said to me right now, if you keep one player fit for the entire season, the irony is him. I'd pick Thomas Partey, because I just think what he offers, no one else in the team offers at all. So for me, he's the most important player in our squad.
Yeah, and Odegaard obviously one that pulled the trigger as well, and he got a goal. But Lee mentioned it earlier, Jesus. I think Jesus is probably a topic to touch in on today, because Still getting some criticism off the back of that result, considering he didn't get a goal. But before I give my take on it, who wants to start off with Jesus?
Well, I'll go first if you want.
Go on.
I don't care, like, you know what I mean? Plays like that, you know, the goals will come. You know, he done everything but score on Sunday, as far as I was concerned. You know,
Look at Jordan. The Jordan's raring to go. I'm surprised he didn't want to.
I'm listening to Lee.
A little stat for you. He's not scoring at this moment in time, and I'm going to bring up because of the stat mans and all that. Like, you know, Arsenal at the moment, like, goal difference of 19. I used to go mad about that when we was on -1, -2. We're on plus 19 at the moment. Man City are on plus 26 with a goal machine. You know, and Jesus is not it. You know, can at some stage. He could have had a hat-trick on Sunday. He could have had a hat-trick the week before. He could have had a hat-trick. He's creating chances. He's making chances. But I think that watching him live, and I think, like, you know, before people comment about him and all that, watch him live, you know, and what he does, the work rate he goes through, making tackles, coming back, winning balls in the box. He went 40 yards to chase down the right back channel to win a pass. All those things and all that, like, are contributing to Arsenal's success. You know, creating chances, working hard, taking players to levels that they've not been before. I just think that at the end of the day, yeah, of course you want him scoring goals, you know what I mean? But if you're winning and playing like that and he's playing like that, the goals will come. I've got no doubt about that. But what I'm pleased about, and one of the biggest things for me is I've watched goal scorers in the past. We can pick on Aubameyang if we like. You know, when they score in goals, they're fantastic. When they don't score goals, they don't contribute. This guy contributes whether he's scoring or not.
Yeah,
over to you, Jordan.
Right.
Listen, I think Jesus is amazing, and I agree with you. When you don't get to really see how good a football, forget striker, just how good a footballer he is until you see him up close. His turn, his touch, his skill, his confidence, I just think is amazing. My only concern, and I've heard a lot of Arsenal fans the last few days, you know, saying what you just said there, you know, he hasn't scored an X amount of games, but his contribution is really good. We can get away with that now because there's goals coming from he who won't name. Saka, Odegaard, Martinelli, etc. There's goals coming elsewhere. The first half of the season is the honeymoon part of the season. When we get to March and those midfielders the attackers aren't getting goals, we need our striker to score goals. And I don't think when he goes through a run of 7 in no games in March, we're going to be quite as complimentary. And I don't think people will be talking about his hold-up play then and his layoff and his contributions then. We're going to need goals.
But doesn't that come down to the... Sorry, Jordan. I've did a Jordan.
Go.
Yeah.
I've done a Jordan. Is that what we're doing now? Shut up, James.
Doesn't that come more to the club than Jesus? Because I think we all agree here that we wanted another striker in the summer to make it free. I think free strikers tends to be the number teams go in with. We wanted a different profile of striker. So if that does happen, because you're right, if it does happen with the squad we have, it'd be a concern. But if it does, do we look at Jesus when in reality, what is it? 12 games, 5 goals, 5 assists. If he continues that rate up, he's going to have roughly 15, 16 goals. 15. It doesn't sound really 15, 16 assists. Even if it's 18 goals, 12 assists.
No, you're roughly right.
That's what we would have expected and been happy with in his first season. If it dries up and it starts costing us points in February, March, maybe April, if there's a title challenge on come the end of the season, I don't think it's fair to look at Jesus and put the pressure on him.
I don't necessarily blame the club in that instance, because even if you had a backup striker that was better than Nketiah to supplement Jesus, I still expect my main marksman to score within 7 games. That is on him. 7 games, a lot of games not score a goal. Now, we are giving him a pass because there's assists in there and there's great link-up play. Right now, well, not so much now, but it's been sunny and it's been nice weather. By default, my mind always goes to the games when it really matters. Back end of February, March, April, when it's not sunny, when it's not free-flowing football, it's about grinding out results. You might only get 2 chances in the whole game to score a goal, and you need your main man to take one of those chances. I'm thinking more then. Now it's fine because there's goals coming from ever. It's all happy, high fives, happy days. But we're complimenting his work off the ball, which we should, rightly so. I'm just saying, I don't think we're going to be as complimentary in 3-4 months' time if he does this then. If he can still get lots of assists, he might still get a pass, but I'm just concerned that even this, what he's doing now, is sustainable. And I'm just saying at some point, we're going to have to start expecting some goals from him. That's what I'm saying. I think the assist thing ain't gonna run forever. He's a striker. So for all his good build-up play, his good play in and around the box, the goals. And I guess I flagged it a couple of weeks ago. We got onto Lacazette for the exact same thing. There's levels, I understand. But first and foremost, can you score some goals, please? And I think that the honeymoon period now is coming to an end, and I need to see some goals because I know in the back end of the season, we're going to need him to be a bit more selfish and a bit more clinical. And he won't get the pass that I think he's getting now.
But I think it's slightly different. With Lacazette, right, there were moments where we looked better as a team when Lacazette led the line over Aubameyang because of his hold up and his link up and all that. But it was kind of limited. You know, he didn't spin round 2-3 players and put it on a plate for someone or whatever. It was, you know, he worked hard and he had a decent first touch and he, you know, put himself about. I didn't mind Lacazette. But when you look at Jesus' contribution, okay, I know he didn't get goals, but look at 2 of the goals he did assist. It wasn't just like he rolled it into someone who did all the work. That Xhaka cutback, Jesus has really good awareness to know I'm not going to be able to take a touch, spin and shoot. And on his first touch, rolls it into Reece Nelson. I mean, it's like unbelievable awareness. And then the second, Reece's second, which I believe is our third. Again, the ball comes out to him and his first touch is immaculate. It's like it's so skillful to take that touch so it doesn't kill the momentum of the move at all. When you watch Riyad Mahrez for City, one of the best things he does when that ball is pinged out to him is on his first touch, he's attacking the man. He doesn't take a touch and then he's got to set himself up and then that gives those little seconds give a team time to adjust. And Jesus is showing that little bit of quality. So I kind of know what you mean. If he just huffed and puffed and played some nice passes, I'd be like, yeah, okay, you know, nothing really to shout about. But I think you saw, even with the work rate, even with the popping up in different areas and, you know, giving his all for the team, there were moments of genuine class, you know, sprinkled in that performance, which is why I'm kind of willing to give him a pass on that. And if he's doing that in March, I'll be okay with that. He's still playing brilliantly.
I agree, and I'm being deliberately provocative. I'm being deliberately harsh, not because I'm not happy with what he's doing now. I'm just looking ahead to the months where it matters. And if he's still doing this, then that probably still gets him through. If he can still get a couple of assists in the game and not score, I'll probably still take that. But I'm just looking ahead in those games where it's tighter. It's the game isn't going our way, and it's like you might only get one chance. I need to be confident you're going to take it in a way that Van Persie did for us. Certain games where we weren't great, I knew just give Van Persie one chance. I know he's burying it. I'm not quite there yet with Jesus, so I'm being deliberately harsh. I accept that, but
I think he's aware of it as well. I think, I think he was aware of it, and also Arteta was aware of it on Sunday because they kept playing him. The game was won. It kept him on, like, you know what I mean, in the hope that he was going to get a goal. And I honestly think it's one of those ones where he was so desperate he was never going to score. Do you know what I mean? I know that sounds silly. Like,
I know
he was just trying too hard to score. Like, but one of the things that I want to pick up on is that goal against Nelson. How many forwards and greedy forwards do you see like try and turn and swivel and have a shot and hit the stands and everything like that? Like, you know, that was an important moment of the game, but he chose the team over himself. You know what I mean? Because I've seen players try and turn and shoot, and you know what I mean, like, which he could have done in that position, but he weighed up the situation very quickly and was the team player and laid on the goal. Like, and also another thing that I think has got to be highlighted on it, and I watched it back. I didn't notice at the time when he got the third goal. When they got the third goal, and he put it across for Nelson, he was delighted for Nelson to score that goal. You know what I mean? Even though he's desperate for himself to score, there's a team player in there, and he put the team before himself on Sunday. Yeah, and I thought that was fantastic. I've seen many strikers, ones I've loved and other ones that I detest, will go and have a go on their own. There, like the greedy strikers of this world. I think he's a team player, and I applaud him for that. So there was an opportunity where he could have been greedy on that game, and he wasn't, and I applaud him for it.
And the goals we did score as well. That Martinelli one is such a good
Brilliant
goal.
goal. Brilliant
Such
goal.
a good
goal.
Do you know
Brilliant
what?
goal.
Do you know what makes me so happy? Guys, I'm beaming. 10 wins out of 12. Only the one defeat. I'm so happy. What a start we've made. And when I see goals like that, they just remind me of like the envy I had the last 3, 4, 5 years watching Liverpool and City when they made world-class moments look so easy. That is just Marte pings out to
100%.
Saka. Saka opens up. It's like he's not even thought about it. I'm thinking, where's he even thought? Where's he had the time to think Martinelli's making the run into box? But it's just so decisive. Just, onto my left foot, bam, open up into Martinelli. Martinelli has no right winning that header. There's like 5 men around him, but he's got the determination. He's always actually been quite a good header of the ball, by the way, Martinelli.
Yeah.
So anyone who's surprised by that shouldn't be. He's scored quite a few headers for Arsenal. And just like powered it, just power low, difficult for the keeper. And I used to watch. I say used to because they're having a bad season, but I used to watch Liverpool. Salah and Mane would just make it look so easy. Like you'd think, what? Like we barely did anything wrong, and they killed us. And I think Arsenal developing those little moments, like that Leeds goal as well. One error, Odegaard in behind, Saka buries it. First couple minutes against against Liverpool at home. We play through their midfield. Odegaard slipped through, Martinelli buries it. Being able to kind of take a situation that wasn't really anything, and then bam, you kill someone. It's just like that is a sign of a really, really exciting team. And I really hope it continues. I'm really enjoying it.
And that was one thing. Why people actually talking to Cecil after the game on Thursday said, I thought you'd had the ump after Thursday. That's why I never had the ump on Thursday. Look at Martinelli's performance yesterday to what it was on Thursday. He was completely different player. It was a different mentality yesterday. And Martinelli was back to his best yesterday. And I think obviously the goal with the confidence. The only disappointing thing was Saka. I thought he was sensational until he got injured. Absolutely, So, and I was worried because he picked up the ball on 3 occasions and 3 players sprinting over to him, and one of them where he got the goal. And I thought, oh well, it ain't going to be. It'd be easier for him to defend without Saka being on there because they couldn't overload on the left side. But credit to Arsenal, credit to Nelson. We didn't miss him when he come off, and he was sensational in that first 25 minutes, and that's a big plus for me.
Is he okay, Lee, or was it just a precaution?
I think it was a kick. I think he just trod on his calf, and it looked like he just couldn't shake it off. So I think that Arteta said it was a kick. You could see it was a kick. And the greatest thing is, I actually think that they should have took him off a bit earlier because he went down a couple of times, didn't he? To treat it and I think they should have said, right, no, this is not going. You're not going to run this off. You try to run it off, but I think hopefully he'll be okay for Sunday. And I just think that the front 3 at the moment are a joy to watch. I love the trickery and the skills of Saka when he goes past players, and then the directness of Martinelli, and then the everything of Jesus. I think it's a fantastic front 3 there. And, I agree with James there. I've looked back and thought, oh, what, watching other teams do that. We've got it now. And I say what, they're all young, enthusiastic, and I think Martinelli now has got 5 goals already this season, like 5, maybe 6, He's going to get into double figures for the first time this season.
We've got 30 Premier League goals this season. I believe it's 5 Martinelli, 5 Jesus, 4 Odegaard, 3 Xhaka, 2 Partey, 4 Saka. That is spreading them around the team. That's everyone.
2 Saliba,
2 Saliba, 1 Gabriel, 1 Fabio Vieira.
Oh yeah, the Brentford cameo.
It's fancy. I do concur with what Jordan's saying though. If the goals dry up, then you've got to be looking for your main man to get the goals. But I still say it, whether it be Chelsea, whether it be Wolves, one day I'm gonna sit here and go, I told you so. He's got hat trick. You know what I mean? Like, it's coming. It's coming. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'll put down every game now. He's gonna get hat trick. Put it down. I'm doing a Jordan. I'm not getting it, but I put it down every week. Like, you know, hat trick.
Can I bring up someone else? I'd love to get all your thoughts on this man, Benny White.
Oh,
He's been
sensational.
So good this season. And someone made such a good point on Twitter. Twitter, not always the healthiest of places, but sometimes there's some absolute gems. Thank you to the Arsenal community who provide them. Someone said this guy went from, basically the amount of criticism he had for one game at Brentford. We were talking about it earlier, Lee, weren't we?
Yeah, we was.
But he's transitioned. He ended up doing really well last season, I think, for most of it, and then transitioned to right back like it was nothing. He played a couple of games at right back last season. No one was convinced, and fair enough, I suppose. But the transition has been so smooth. Like I can't see a world unless injuries take over in which Ben White isn't playing all 38 games of this season as our starting right back, because even on that Martinelli goal, White's overlapping and Lodi actually takes a little step away from Saka because he kind of sees him coming. But then he's got that right side, the kind of the dark arts, but he does it in a good way. There's so much. I love his post-match interviews. You almost look at him like, why are you asking me such stupid questions? I quite like his approach to all them. And I've got to give him a lot of credit. I really do.
I said after that first game against Brentford last season that I don't think he'll have a long career at Arsenal. I think about 10, 15 games later, I kind of said that I was a bit harsh, went a bit too far on him, and I just wasn't having him. I think it would be stupid and futile for me to say that he hasn't been absolutely amazing this season so far in a position that's not in his first choice position. But weirdly enough, he's the only player that I still can't quite work out where I am with him. Like I said, I acknowledge that he's been brilliant this season, and I don't see a reason to drop him. There's no reason why he shouldn't be in, the right back, and that's going against my favourite player, Tomiyasu. I would leave it as it is. He's doing that well, but I still can't quite work out. I can't work out where to place him in terms of how much I rate him yet. I'm not all in yet on Ben White. I think what he's showing is that he's a quality player, but I still find it weird that he's at right back, but he's doing well at right back. There's a lot of.
I know what you mean. I
can't work it out yet.
Fullbacks over recent history, especially when you look at Man City and you look at Liverpool, fullbacks tend to be more than fullbacks. Whereas Ben White, listen, playing at the back, he does it well, but he's been playing very well, and you used the word amazing, under the radar this season. I think I agree with you, Jordan, in the sense where maybe when we're in Champions League, and maybe if we do take the next step up and we start challenging for titles, and we get back into that mode of things, maybe then you're questioning whether he can be part of a unit that gives you that, because we haven't necessarily seen him do anything spectacular. But at the same time, do you have to do something spectacular, or have we just been watching like Trent and Robertson and Cancelo and Zinchenko at Liverpool and City and saying to ourselves, we need a bit more from our fullbacks? It's hard to really judge it.
But I think that's why I'm so blown away, because I think he has been offering, I would say, something spectacular. I think what Trent and Cancelo have done, and Reece James, they're reinventing what being a fullback is. There's being an overlapping attacking fullback, and then there's being like a winger / number 10 from right back. I mean, like
those fullbacks are like the biggest attacking threat for their teams. Yeah,
it's unbelievable, right? What they're doing, but yet Ben White still against Southampton, that overlap and cross to Xhaka is.
Yeah.
If Trent does that, it's like, okay, people aren't talking about it for years to come, but they're saying, that's what Trent does. He overlaps and then he picks someone out in the box with a brilliant delivery. And he's actually had quite a few, whether it be deliveries to the back post, whether it be actually shielding in front. He kind of does the defensive side. What I quite like about Arteta is we always talk about where he gets his inspirations from, Guardiola, Wenger. I even mentioned it earlier in this podcast. But in Tomiyasu and White as his fullbacks, he's got, and obviously Gabriel and Saliba, he's got this almost old school defender style. Like, yes, they're very good on the ball. Yes, they're very quick and they're modern defenders in their own way. But also it's, who are our best defenders? Who are our tallest, strongest, most defensively dependable players? Right, they're in the back four. And yes, okay, sometimes Zinchenko comes in and you get that dynamic. But you also look at that four. Again, I think Lee or Robbie was saying it earlier in the studio when we were there together. You can't bully that defense. You used to think, tall strikers can have some fun against them, and they're not. So why offering something going forward whilst being dependent at the back makes them a really complete option there?
I think. Sorry, go on.
Sorry to cut Jordan, but I'm gonna
Sorry, I've been talking a lot about.
No, it's a great. Look, listen, I was talking in the pub about, and I bring up what Jordan's saying there, like he's not too sure of him and all that, like. And what was that? How many bad games has he actually had? Name a bad game that he's had. And everybody goes Brentford, first game of last season, like. But no one else.
He had a few last year. He had a few last season. He did have a few.
Yeah, but look, no one can name it. But I just think this Brentford thing is just for some unknown reason just hung around him, like and like. Yeah. Listen, he's had better games than bad games. You know what I mean? Like that's what I say. He's been, but this, I watched Saliba do exactly the same as Ben White on Sunday, and everybody go, "Oh, Saliba, look, it's great, fantastic." Ben White done it with a little bit more cunningness, if I like. You know what I mean? Like shithousery is the word I think I'm going to use. Like, and I loved it. And I'm a real big Ben White fan. I don't know if it's because Saliba's a better name than Ben White. You know what I mean? Is it because it's something to do with Ben White? It's not as I listen. I'm not criticising Saliba. I love Saliba. I think he's fantastic. But it just seems that he just doesn't seem to get the credit that he deserves. I really don't. Even from Gareth Southgate, he don't like. You know what I mean? Like prefers to play Maguire there.
It's funny you mentioned Southgate then, Lee, because I guess what I'm waiting to see is him up against, and that's why Chelsea's an interesting test for me because of how they utilise their fullbacks. I think the way the test for him is not can he get beaten up and down the lines. I think he's proven that he can match anybody and he can get up and down fine. I think when he gets manoeuvred out of his position, does he have the orientation to be able to be a right back in that sense? And that's why against Manchester City, against Brighton, against Chelsea, who really do use their fullbacks well, those for me, and even England, if he goes to the World Cup and plays right back, the best attackers and indeed other fullbacks in the world, I fear they may be able to get the best of him in that position because it's not his natural position. And that's why when Turkish mentions Champions League football next year, which hopefully we'll be getting, I'm not convinced that at that level he's the right back that can do a job. At the moment, he's brilliant. But I'm just wondering in the top games against the best managers, against the best wide men and fullbacks, I'm still slightly concerned that he can continue the level at which he's playing at right now. But I don't want to poo-poo him because, like I said, he's been brilliant this year and I've got no reason to drop him at all. But I'm just not fully on the Ben White train yet because I think I want to see him tested against the best teams in the best competitions, be it the Champions League or the Euros.
Can I just ask you a question, Jordan, quickly? Sorry.
I'm on his train. I'm on his train.
Yeah, no, you're driving the train.
I've got a monthly, yearly pass.
No, fair enough.
I want to ask you a question, Jordan, just off the back of that. Who would be your preferred centre-back pairing? Just keeping in mind Ben White's played centre-back for a season for us. If you had to pick out Saliba, Gabriel, Ben White, is it still Saliba, Gabriel? Because you know why I asked? Because I feel like our maybe doubts about Champions League level about Ben White comes from, like James mentioned, how spectacular some of the fullbacks have been in an attacking sense. But then do you see him potentially being a centre-back going into that competition for us, even though we've seen better from him in the right-back position, which is it's a weird one.
It is a weird one. I actually think last year, as a pairing, Gabriel and Ben White, I actually thought they were really good. I didn't think I wasn't unhappy with that. Saliba's obviously raised the game, and he now is our number one centre back. He has to start. So it's a case of Saliba and one other. Gabriel, for the faults that he's had this season, I wouldn't drop him as centre back for Ben White necessarily. Ben White coming in, I'm comfortable with that as well. So I guess at the moment, it's being proved that generally as a partnership, Saliba and Gabriel, it works. It seems fine. So I'm okay then, Ben White being the number one right back or the third choice centre back. But yeah, I wouldn't move him inside. But when the levels go up, I think it's Saliba, and I'm not sure long term if we want to win a Premier League title. I'm not sure Saliba and any of those two win you a Premier League title. I think we have to upgrade on Ben White and Gabriel.
Yeah, I think what I was trying to say is when the levels go up, I think he'd be more comfortable in as a centre back than he would be as a right back.
I agree. Yeah, sorry.
This is
I agree with that as well.
Yeah,
I think they're, what are they, 23 and 24, and they, have maybe a couple years still, maybe 3-4 years till they're at their best. I think they can be centre back, Premier League winning centre backs, if not as starters, and at least playing crucial parts in the squad in some way. Do you know who Man City brought on off the bench against Leicester City? Ruben Diaz.
Yeah,
it's just like, what? Everyone will have their part to play, and people will be rotated in and out, and we want to compete in all these competitions.
But you've kind of made my point for me. If Man City can bring on arguably the best centre back in the country, top 3 for sure, off the bench and rotate him in on the away game, those are the levels we're dealing with. To win a Premier League title, if you can bring Diaz off the bench, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're going to get there. Don't worry.
I hope so.
Talking about getting there, and by getting there, I mean Champions League football first and foremost. We've got the Europa League, a big chance for us this season to win it again.
Oh yeah,
and I don't mean win it again. I mean again a big chance to win in the Europa League. And we didn't put it to bed against PSV. PSV kept it alive. These lot are enjoying the theme tune. I tend to try and ignore it and get it out of my head, but it is what it is. These lot like to remind me. We got Zurich at the Emirates. We got Chelsea away after that massive game against Chelsea. What do we do against Zurich? Considering the time, we've got about maybe 10 minutes left max. What do we do against Zurich? Do we go strong to put the game to bed, to finish top of the group? Is it just Zurich, and really the second team should be able to get the job done? Considering the lack of depth in some positions, who do we protect in that game? I know Saka's probably going to miss out because of that knock. I know Xhaka picked up a yellow card, so he's going to miss out. So general thoughts around the game and what we do. James, let's go back to you on it to start off.
Yeah, I spent a lot of last week stressing over the starting 11 and game time for certain players and all this stuff. And actually, despite a fairly lackluster first half at times against Forest, actually the players didn't look tired at all. They raised their level and looked a lot better. But then again, Forest were rubbish. We did mention that, didn't we? I'm kind of like, what will be, will be. I think I do look back on last week and think you're really worried way too much about the minutes in the game time and all that. And I got that wrong. And we'll see whatever he goes with. If he wants to go quite strong just to really make sure it's done, fine. If he rotates, it should be enough as well. So, we'll see. Expect a level drop. Expect a level drop.
It's not the end of the world.
No, it's not. I agree. It's not. With every Premier League win, I'm becoming more and more focused on that. I really am. Yeah. Expect a level drop because he's going to make probably 5 or 6 changes at least, I would think. But isn't it interesting? We talk about squad depth, and actually we saw throughout that game against Forest, as he added one player and then a couple players, and then that the level actually was retained for most of the match. So
sorry, I heard that argument. Sorry to cut you there. I heard that argument made by some Arsenal fans, James. It was Forest. They were dog awful. The game was never really in doubt. So I think people say, "Oh yeah, our squad depth actually is good because we brought on Reece Nelson, 2 goals and assists." but I don't think that is the barometer. Forest were rubbish. I'd be reluctant to kind of say our depth isn't that bad.
Are Zurich better than Forest?
They're not, but sorry,
Zurich. So exactly, we don't really know. So, but my point is, do you think in that game, in a more rotated side, say it's Zurich at home, it's a more rotated side, Saka comes off and Nelson comes on, do you think he plays quite as well? I feel like Nelson, who was someone we doubted, comes on in with the 11 that's been performing well, that have a rhythm and understanding, and his level rises to theirs, and there's a confidence, and he can fill into that better. It's when you make the 4, 5, 6 wholesale changes, there's very difficult for players that are inconsistent and getting into inconsistent game time to pick each other up along the way as well. So
100%.
I don't think the squad depth is bad, because in the Premier League especially, you're not going to see 6 changes at once. You're going to see 1 or 2 have to come in. But we will probably see a drop in level of performance, but hopefully there'll still be plenty to beat Zurich comfortably.
And that's how you got to look at it, James. So be it. Like, if we lose the game, it ain't the end of the world. We have to go into a play. If we're not getting knocked out of the competition, people going too much into it. We're going to get knocked out of the competition. We're still in it. It's not ideal. But we're not. It's not like we're gonna. If we lose against Zurich, we're out. You know what I mean?
It would be very frustrating. It would be very frustrating. But I'm not gonna. It doesn't ruin anything.
They'll have enough. They'll have enough on Thursday to win that game. I'm pretty confident. With what they play, I think that with Granit Xhaka being out there, I don't want to see Partey playing for this game. I want him fresh for Chelsea. I'm hoping El Neni's going to be fit and he'll come in and play. So and then Lokonga will play in Xhaka's position. I think Cedric, why bring Cedric on the other day? Give him some minutes for this game as well. Hopefully Turner will be back in the team. I don't know what's the matter with him, but hopefully he will be. Holding to come back in, deservedly so.
Tierney.
Yeah, Tierney will come in. And up front, I think that Nelson will get another run out, 100%. Eddie will play. And it depends who you want to play on that left-hand side. Why not give Marquinhos another go? That's what I'd like to see anyway.
This won't be a popular.
And if we don't win that game, I'd rather beat Chelsea on Sunday. That, to me, that's the most important game there. Chelsea and then Wolves. Brighton and Zurich, not in my radar, I'm afraid. I want us being top of the league going into that World Cup, and that mean a lot to me. It mean a lot to me.
I think this one. I know you got a rap tune touch. This won't be a popular opinion, but I slightly disagree with both of you. I think this game is a big game. I think that missing out an entire round of Europa League fixtures is actually could really benefit us post World Cup, especially as it's against a team that will probably be more than likely a Champions League contending team, knowing our luck. And to skip around, I think would help us. I think this is a competition we can win. I know that we're doing well in the league, and the league is a priority. I agree, but I actually think this is a competition that we can win. I think we can win the Europa League, and I want to win the Europa League.
Yeah.
And so I think that whilst in theory our second team, just for those listening, up to air quotation marks there, should be able to win this game on Thursday, I just don't think we need to get caught into a situation whereby it's 60 minutes in and it's 1-1 and we could lose. I think I wouldn't play our first 11. I'm not saying that, but I would go strong and just try and win the game as early as possible and then bring players off. I wouldn't play Saka and I wouldn't play Partey. I'd play everybody else. I'm not gonna lie. I'd play Tomiyasu right back, Tierney left back. I'm playing one of Gabriel or Saliba, and then Holding's other centre back. Fine. I'd go not Turner. I'd go Ramsdale in goal. I would drop Partey, and then you can pick, I don't know, Lokonga, and then if he's fit, hopefully, and one other. I would play Odegaard. I'd play Jesus, whether it's left or through the middle. I would try and win this game ASAP and go into the Chelsea game. Just knowing you've won the game and you're through to the next round of the Europa League. I don't like this. The Chelsea game of the two, if you ask me right now, 3 points. I'll take Chelsea, of course, but I think winning this game could potentially help us winning against Chelsea as well. All right, it could go
Yeah.
against us because there could be fatigue. But again, I'm not really one for the whole fatigue talk too much. So I actually would go strong in this game. So I think that the ramifications of not finishing top, I think are bigger than you guys are flagging.
No, and on that Champions League note, if you finish second, you do play a Champions League team. It's the runners up playing the Champions League dropout.
There you go.
That's how the next phase is kind of set up this time round. I think it's time we bring in the table. Everyone got a point from the Nottingham Forest result. No one got it bang on. So Lee leads the table on 16 points after 17 games predicted. James second, 15 points. I'm in third, 14 points. And Jordan fourth on 12 points. So yeah, back to you, Lee. Zurich, Emirates Stadium. What are you telling me?
3-0.
Oh shit!
No, don't say shit. That's all right. That's all right. James, shall I write 3-0 down for you, Jordan? Yeah.
Jordan, just wondering what you're gonna go with first.
Go on, James.
Well, I'd really like to know what you're gonna get. What you're gonna
Well,
do.
no, that's not how it works, James.
Lee will cry corruption if we do that. So don't.
Yeah, he will. He
All
will.
right,
He will.
2-0.
You know what's fucked? I was gonna say 3-0 as well until I heard Jordan go shit. So I'm gonna go 4-0.
Oh, I can't do Lee dirty twice in 2 weeks.
Do it. Go
I
on. Please look at him. Look how miserable he is. Do it. That would be brilliant. Someone apparently put in the comments of one of these videos, do James and Lee have beef?
Yeah. Yeah, I did.
Oh, my friend, the answer is yes. Yes, we do. I hate
We
him.
can't stand each other.
Absolutely hate him. He bullies me every day.
Jordan, you're deep in thought, mate. Do you?
All right, I'll go 3-1. I'll go 3-1.
Oh,
I'll go 3-1.
Yeah, it's coming on, boys.
But I did have
3-0.
3-0 in my head. I did have 3-0, but I'll go 3-1.
Now
he wanted to say 4. He wanted to say 4, but he knew Turk said that as well.
4-0.
He thought, I'll chuck a 1 on the Zurich scoreline.
Okay, now Lee might actually have it because I'm really thinking 3-0. But it's all done and dusted. Lee has gone for 3-0. James has gone for 2-0. I've gone for 4-0. And Jordan has switched it up and gone for 3-1, even though he really thinks it's going to be 3-0. So hopefully the jinx is still there and we get 4. Why not? Why not?
It definitely is as well. It definitely is. The fact that that's what he actually thinks it is enough.
Yeah, you can't get away from it. You can't get away from it. All right, people. Hope you guys have enjoyed another Forever Arsenal podcast. Love for the love as always. We will be back after the Zurich game, before the Chelsea game. It's a big one. We're going to record the next one Friday morning, so it'll be at some time on Friday, probably by midday. So make sure you guys look out for that. Check that out as usual. Leave your comments in the comment section below. We'll all go through it as usual. Hit the like button, people. And yeah, we keep it moving. And just a reminder, we are on audio platforms now. So obviously, if you miss us here and you don't get a chance to rewatch it on YouTube, then, you know, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, I don't know what other audio platforms there are, but I'm sure you guys do. You can listen to us on there, people.
On the way to work, on the way to your girlfriend, you can hear my voice and my great opinions. You know, you haven't got to watch on YouTube. You can listen to it on. You can have the audio delights of my voice and my opinions.
Isn't that great? Before date night, listening to
really
Jordan
still in it there, isn't it, Jordan? Really still in it there.
We've just lost 4 subscribers as we speak.
They're all on Talk Sport now as they go onto the tube, like, you know.
At the YouTube, TalkSport, Spotify, he's everywhere.
You can't avoid me.
Laura Jordan, what am I going to do? Laura Jordan,
Which one do we turn on? Boy. Tough choice. Big up Jordan, big up Lee, big up James as usual, and big up all you guys showing love as usual. We're out. Hit the like button and enjoy.